All right, I'll kill the music there. It's 8:30. I posted on Facebook that I was going to go ahead and do a live stream um, about the app. So, pretty exciting day today with the app going live finally. I was trying to get it out this weekend through Apple, but um, they did not like the word free in the title. So, I took free out of the title and republished it. So, go ahead and get my devices up here. So that's my tablet. Make sure it's all working. And there's my phone. All right. So this is just, most of y'all have probably downloaded it. Maybe not. Maybe you're on the fence. So left side there is this is my tablet. That's my iPad mini. And then on the right there's my iPhone. So I don't know how many of you have the iPhone 12. I know Chad's got he's got an older model, and I think Rachel's got an older model too. But this bar across the top, that white bar where it cuts off the status bar, I cannot figure out how to fix that on the platform that I'm using to develop the app. So I apologize for that. On some devices it looks great. Other devices like mine, I get a bar cut off at the top, but I finally let my OCD subside, and I won't worry about that too much right now. The rest of the functionality is actually pretty good. So, so for starters, how did the app really come to fruition? Chad and I had a conversation, end of February, when he was talking about putting data with pictures, and I thought, well, it'd be kind of cool if you could capture data and save it for his purposes to look data up. I pictured him out taking pictures and trying to look up stuff while he was out there, and so I figured, well, if there was a way to capture it and store it, and so that kind of started the idea of the app itself. So it went from that discussion to an app, and I know there's what, 3 or 4 other Aurora apps out there. What makes mine different? The Space Weather Live app, I like that app. I like the charts that they have on there, which is why I incorporated similar style charts in mine. They put the Earth line on the screen, which is supposed to represent when the solar wind is actually getting to Earth, but it's very hard to read. It's not really all that great. If you look at the numbers now, too bad we've got clouds here, because it would probably be a good night to go out and see some aurora activity. So keep an eye out on the clouds. If they clear out, we might get some activity tonight. But anyway, the numbers, right? So these numbers on the screen, that's computed arrival time for solar wind based on where the Discover satellite's at. So Discover satellite sits like 930,000 miles away, almost a million miles away from Earth. And so when that point is observed, we have time before that actually makes it to Earth. And so right now you can see on the screen there, the solar wind speed is 522.2 kilometers per second. Trying to keep both devices going here, it's a pain. And so the estimated arrival time is 48 minutes, right? So that means that will take about 48 minutes to get here. And how is that computed? Well, I take the distance of the satellite up in space, use the solar wind speed to calculate that all out, and then on average, the interplanetary magnetic field, the magnetosphere, is roughly about 500, if I remember right, 500 kilometers above the surface of the Earth, right? So I'm basically taking those values, I'm calculating when is that solar wind going to hit the magnetosphere, the IMF, and give us a show. And that's really what's important from the chaser community, right? Now, if I'm a scientific guy I'm monitoring numbers, and then what happens. But if I'm out there chasing, I want to know if I'm sitting there. Well, before I go out, is it a good time to go out? Right? I've been burned. My wife and I went out and sat out at Hatcher Pass for about 3 hours on a Sunday night and got absolutely nothing. We did get to see a nice Aurora oval that looked like it was breathing, but we saw no activity. And that kind of spurred my interest in wanting to find out really just the inner workings of chasing the Aurora. So take all that data, crunch it down, and the numbers you see there, the 5, 10, 15, 45, and an hour, those are the estimated arrival times of that data. So right now you can see 5 minutes from now it's saying that BT is going to be 2.6, but an hour from now 3.85. And it's really important on this for BZ, right? Because BZ we watch. Now, the problem with BZ is very, very bipolar. It'll go from north to south and south to north in a matter of really minutes, since that's when the data comes in. Data comes in every minute. Sidebar on that conversation, if you notice when you load the app, I'll refresh here. It gives you that pop-up message. I am moving everything over to a different server. Right now I'm on a shared server with all my data, and they weren't too happy with me doing a whole lot of calls and having a whole bunch of people hitting the web server. I've got a lot of automated tasks that pull this stuff in, working notifications, grabbing data, crunching information. So I've got some stuff copying, uploading in the background. I'm moving everything over to a different server. So at some point I may have to shut access to the app off just to make sure I transition everything over and no new data is created. But
Yeah.
the numbers come in, and you see right there it refreshed, and BZ's going back to the north. So that's important when we're out there, because BZ makes a big difference on where the if we're going to get any activity, right? The rest of the numbers, they're all color coded. So originally I was thinking green was good, red was bad, yellow was so-so. But Chad was good enough to point out to me that in the space weather world, those values, severe stuff is generally red, and that's good for us because the higher the numbers, the better the data. And then if it's poor, it's green. So got that. Also pull the current KP value that's observed and the maximum KP value for the next hour. So that's all on the main screen. And of course, if any of you have looked at the website, I've got this experimental indicator here. So what that does is it tries to take the values that we see here, and this is geared more towards Anchorage right now. I'm working on setting this all up on location specific stuff. So somebody else that maybe they're up in Fairbanks, or they're in Canada, based on their latitude and longitude, it would have some type of an indication for them. That's a little ways off. We'll figure all that out. Work on some computations with the algorithm, but we've got all that going on. You've also got the cloud tab and then the sun and the moon tab. So clouds, I actually updated the clouds. I was using the National Weather Service, but parsing their text file was so crazy that it wasn't really it changes so much that the files were changing, and I didn't want to chase that. So I'm actually pulling this from a weather API that I subscribe to. And again, this is going to be location based as well. So you open up the app, it would find your point. A lot of work to do on that to get it happening, but it would look for the closest airport, grab some weather data, and give you the clouds. So it gives you cloud coverage in the pictures, which is clear, partly to mostly cloudy, cloudy to overcast, and then it gives you percent coverage. Solar tab, so the sun and moon tab, that gives you sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset. Also tells you if the moon sets and then rises, which is good for us or bad for us, because if it rises after it sets, then it's going to be up while we're out watching. If it's rises and then sets, that's good, depending on what time. And then the illumination, right? The lower the illumination number, the brighter the aurora will be for us that we're chasing. So that's good. Another important number on this sun and moon screen is the antimeridian, right? So in theory, what that is that's the point when the sun is exactly 180 degrees from where we're at, from our location. And so if you look at that number, that's really the anticipated time that you could expect to be kind of in the peak of the auroral oval, right? So if you watch it on the ovation or it's spinning around at about 2 o'clock in the morning for us is when we would be right in the thickest band of that. So if you ever hear us say that the best shows start around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, that's why, because that's when we're really in the thick of the auroral oval. So some interesting stuff there. You'll notice the black bar at the bottom of the screen. That's for the ads. Since I just published this to the App Store, there's a code that I have to put in for my ads to load in there. So those will be coming, but no big deal there. You've got your charts tab. So you got KP, forecast and observes, and you can touch on the bars, and it'll highlight which one you're looking at, either observed or forecast. We've got BZ, BT, right? So BZ is, again, that's the north-south. When it is north, we want it to flip south, and when it's south, we don't want to see it flip north. But when it does, we're watching. And so you see these bars on here where it says now. That's basically right now, and everything to the right of that now bar is what's currently coming at us from the satellite. So remember, I take the data, I compute out when it's supposed to arrive, and everything to the left of that bar is what has arrived. Whatever's at that bar is what we should be experiencing right now, and then everything to the right is what is coming at us. So you can see right now BZ is negative, and it's going to go north here in just a little bit. Also got density. I don't think I explained BT. So BT is a measurement of the strength of the interplanetary magnetic field. So the higher that number, the better. Generally, on average, I want to say it's between 3 to 6 is the average. Anything over 6 is goes up into the moderate range. You start getting to 10 to, I think 10 to 15 is like strong, and then like really anything over 20 is considered severe. So the higher that number is, the stronger that field is, the more intense we tend to get for auroral activity. Density, that's pretty much the amount of particles in the solar wind. So the higher that number is, the better. Generally speaking, we want to see that somewhere around 10 or higher for our area. Again, all these values right now, if you're up in Fairbanks, it's you don't need as much as strong as stuff to get better lights up there. But and then of course speed. That's the speed that the solar wind is coming at us. And then we've got the hemispheric power. So that's when you're looking at the auroral oval on the ovation, you see that number moving around. The hemispheric power is kind of that's a measurement of what we're expecting. Actually, a correction on that. The ovation model is your percent chance of seeing the aurora, if I recall right. It goes from 0 to 100. The hemispheric power is just basically the measure of the amount of available power in the magnetosphere for aurora. The higher that number, and we've seen it hit 90s here in the last month. It's crazy. So those are all the charts. The ovation model. So it looks a little different on a tablet. I don't really like how that picture is zoomed in, so I'll work on that. Try and get that squared away. But on the phone, it looks pretty good. Pretty decent display on the phone. Gives you the forecast valid time, and it'll always load on the current window. So current, this is what is happening right now. Minus an hour, minus 30 minutes. That just takes you 30 minutes back and an hour back. Plots your point on the map if you're using location sharing. And then you can scroll through and see. If you go to 30 minutes forward, that'll show you what's going to happen in the next half hour, and then 1 hour takes you out to the next hour. So um, just a way to step through the Ovation with the Google Maps overlay there. Reporting feature, this is actually kind of a cool feature, and there's a lot of node reports out there, which is good. So this one is if you report, so I've got this one tied into the notifications. So if you're signed up for notifications and you have the Aurora sighting option checked to on, when somebody reports that they've seen the Aurora and you're within 30 miles of that point, you're going to get a notification that says, hey, Aurora activity was reported in your area. And then you won't get another notification for 10 minutes. So if like 50 people are out spotting, and the first one that sends a message out, if all 50 get that same message, the other 49 can send out a similar message, and nobody's going to get an alert until 10 minutes is up. So, but if like, say the person that's up here at the top sends out a message, and this person at the bottom, or let's say this person here was right on the outer edge of 30 miles and they got it, and they send out, hey, I'm seeing it too, then these people down here would get it. So it'll kind of expand out as people are seeing Aurora. So, but 30 miles seemed like a pretty good estimate, especially with us here in Eagle River going up towards Wasilla and Palmer, and then from Eagle River down to Anchorage. So I think 30's probably acceptable. We'll see. We can adjust that as necessary. If you're not seeing Aurora, you can hit no, and it'll give you a report received. And if I try and do it again, it'll refresh the screen too. So you can see my point on the map there got replaced. I'm just going to leave my phone off and do my tablet. My point got replaced with a red marker there. The data points are very coarse, so I do get your location from your device and like very, very accurate, especially if you've got precise on. But for these locations, I chop everything off but the first 2 decimal places, so everything else drops off. So really, it's only going to go to 2 decimal places, and you can see how far off my report was from where my actual location was. So 2 reasons for that. One, people are out chasing. I don't want to have 500 people showing up at somebody's spot, especially if they've got a good spot where they're out viewing. And 2, just safety for individuals. I don't need anybody tracking anybody down on the map, and really you wouldn't know who it is anyway. So something to keep in mind there. So that's the report. So if you hit yes, it'll, like I said, it'll also say thanks for your report, but it'll put a green dot on the map, and then it's going to send out an alert to everybody in that 30-mile range that you've seen the Aurora. So pretty cool feature there. If I try and do it again, it'll say, hey, there's a 5-minute limit on, or a 5-minute wait on reporting activity. So once you hit that yes or no, it pretty much locks you down for 5 minutes from that point. You won't be able to. Now, if your position moves around a little bit, say you're out at Hatcher Pass and you see it and you report it, and you jump in your car and you drive up the hill a little ways further and you report it again, it'll go through just because of the location change. But the idea is to not have people sitting in one spot just constantly pinging the report. So and so this tells me I got to wait 3 minutes and I can submit again at 8:53. Another cool feature about the reports, and this is kind of where this helps the entire really network of Aurora enthusiasts, those of us that like to chase, is when you hit this report, not only is it saying no, you're not seeing anything, or yes, you are seeing anything, but on nights like tonight, right? So we've got this data. This data actually looks pretty decent. If I didn't have to work tomorrow and it wasn't cloudy, I would probably make a trip up to Hatcher just to see what might happen, because it's actually not bad data. We'll probably get something a little bit further north of us with this. But when you hit that report, so like let's say we're looking at the data and everything looked like it was going to be happening soon, you go out and you're not seeing anything, you hit no. That report saves a snapshot of that solar data that was anticipated at that time in the database, so that I can go back in and look at what the numbers are and try and adjust these numbers here, as far as like color coding, what's good, bad, and fair. We saw some pretty good data on Friday night, pretty crazy stuff. Friday night was an odd night. That's not normal for here. Really, what I'd like to do is have our baseline here at Anchorage set to where this is like, and I'm pretty close. Start seeing the arc and maybe some minor lights. Obviously, anything above that baseline, you've got a chance at seeing some really phenomenal activity. So, but that's how the report's going. So you hit no, it'll give me a snapshot and says, hey, there was no aurora activity spotted with this data. If you hit yes, it'll say opposite. Hey, I saw aurora, and this is the data plot that was happening at the time, and I can look at that and see what conditions are like in our area. So that's a cool feature of that. The guide's just kind of a work in progress, but it's just got some information in here about the app, the solar wind, adding different things about what we just talked about for BZ, BT, density, speed, KP index, right? KP index is a big one, but KP index isn't the end all be all. There have been nights KP has been really low, but the data look good, and so like I've gone out and the data was okay or was good, and still saw some activity. So just because the KP is only like a 2 or a 3, don't feel like you can't go out and see something, because if the rest of the data is there, is good enough, you might see stuff, and that's what we're trying to kind of key in on. So, and then some photo tips. Once we get to, I need to work with Chad and Derek, talk to those guys, talk to some other photographers in the group, and see if they can give me some values and some settings for cameras to put in there for the camera tips. And then the about screen, just kind of like, hey, why the app? Privacy information, like I don't collect any personal. The app doesn't collect any personal information. I don't store any personal information. The only thing that I get is a device ID from your phone to be able to send you an alert, a notification, and then your location for the spot on the ovation, and for the plot on the map, and reporting your location on the report map. And that's it. Like no user accounts, no email, no credit card information, none of that stuff. That's all safe. And then I got credits. Just since I'm borrowing some stuff and using some free stuff, I have to put links in there. So like all these icons at the bottom, I got from Icons 8 homepage. Some really awesome icons out there if you ever do a project and need to find some stuff, really good stuff. And then of course my beta testers. So Chad and Rachel were phenomenal in testing this thing. We had probably I don't know if you could ask for a better night for field testing an Aurora app than we had Friday night. It was just absolutely incredible, the activity we had Friday night, and we were all like just hitting the report icon when we were moving, looking at some data. Got a lot of good reports from the three of us out Friday night looking at lights. And we also worked out some bugs. Literally sitting in my car watching the Aurora on my MacBook, editing code to get stuff ready to go. And I submitted the app for final review through Apple from Hatcher Pass. I was hoping to have it out. That was Friday night into Saturday morning. I think I hit submit at like 3:48 Saturday morning from Hatcher Pass. Hoping to get it out Saturday. It's close, really close to getting it out Saturday. But like I said, they kicked it back because I had free in the title. But Chad and Rachel, phenomenal job helping me troubleshoot, brainstorm ideas, ideas for the app, how to keep it simple, all that kind of stuff, like what kind of content to put in it. Because really, like, we want this to be a chaser app and not like a sciencey app. And then Bethany and Daryl from work helping me just test it on different devices. So appreciate all the folks that helped out with that. And then there's a contact button, so you can send a provide feedback, ask a question, whatever. This will go direct to my my email. So I'll see that. I'll reply back to you. It'll also send you an email that just confirms that I got it or that you sent it. So that feature's there. I'm probably going to update this contact form a little bit, just so that you can pick a specific subject if you want to, and talk about that. But so that's the contact form, and then the last screen is the settings. So this is where you toggle off your notifications. When you first load the app, if you haven't loaded it yet, or if you have and you haven't toggled the settings, there's not going to be anything in the database for your preferences. So, which isn't a bad thing. If you haven't set any preferences, you're not going to get any alerts, because I check the table before the alert goes out to make sure that that alert is set to true for anybody that wants it. And if it doesn't find true, it's not going to send anything. So if you want to get those notifications when you first load the app, it should look like that. You can just go in and toggle whichever one's on that you want to, and then if you change your mind, you can toggle them off, and it'll change everything to false in the database, and you won't get any alerts. So that's pretty much the app in a nutshell. I gave up on my phone because the screen kept shutting off. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Facebook Messenger. You can reach out to me via email, via the contact form on there. Yeah, so if you have any questions, I hope you guys enjoy the app. Any feedback, anything that you would like added, anything that seems like it's unnecessary that you want to take away, let me know. I want this to be an app for the avid watchers, right? If we're out there chasing, we want to see that. So, and if you saw me doing that a couple times, these have pull to refresh. So if you pull down on the screen, it'll refresh. All of the pages do that. So you don't have to like toggle off and toggle back on. You just swipe down on the screen, and it'll refresh. All of those do that except for the Ovation window. So the charts do it too. You can refresh the charts if you want to see updated data. And yeah, just a good app. And I thank you guys for watching this. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out. And happy Aurora chasing. So we'll see you guys out and about. So take care.